Hi, George here. And today we'll be changing the background in this picture with this almost impossible to mask out hair, just like that. And we'll be doing this using a tool that's available in the Elements Plus plugin right over here. We're in the selections section right there, and we'll be using the select color range tool. Okay, so go back here. I'm going to delete these things up here. Let's just get rid of this and this. Delete that. And there's the original image. Now to use this tool, you select the areas that you want to get rid of. And this works great if you're basically selecting areas that are one common color. So we have all this gray stuff in here. Now there are some problems. There are some grays in the face in here, and there's some gray up in here. So I have to fix that. But this will give us a pretty good selection for the hair. Now this technique will not save these real fine wispy hairs. Those are very difficult to get. But it will give you mostly everything that you want in here. Okay, to use this tool, come down to Effects, and you'll have to have the Elements Plus plugin installed. It's in the Classic section, or you can access the tool over here under File and Automation Tools, and Selections is right there. Same thing. This is just a different way to get to the same tool. Now, the Elements Plus plugin, last time I looked, costs about $12. It's been that price for a long time. There's a new version of that matches each version of Photoshop Elements. Great tool. What it does is it goes back in and it allows back in a lot of capability that's hidden inside of Photoshop Elements. There's a lot more in Photoshop Elements than you ever see in here. A lot of these are left over from the previous look of Elements, which was last in Elements 10. And a lot of these are tools that are available in Photoshop and are included in Elements. They're just not being used. So it brings back a lot of this unused stuff. And one of those is the Select by Color option. Now I have more information about how to use these selections right here inside my Elements Photo Coach program. So if you want even more information, that's the best place to get it. And I'll put a link for that in the description. And I'll reopen that image back to the original so that we're working with a clean copy in here. Okay, now on selections, this is in the Classic section and it's selections right here. And then click on the option right down here, and this brings up the color range sampling tool. Now, when you first see this, there won't be anything selected in here. At the top, we can select by a specific color range if you want to, or midtones, shadows, highlights, or skin tone. You can also choose to detect faces if you want to. And that's useful for using the skin tones down here. Look at fuzziness in a moment. Down here, you can look at either the image or your selection. And you have a selection preview down here. Here's on grayscale, black matte, white matte, and quick mask. We'll see how those work as we begin to build this. And the first thing you'll do is you go over here and choose this tool. This is your color picker tool. And then find the color that you want to select for, and then find a mid-range. I think over here is kind of a mid-range for this. I'll click into that. And this is our starting point. If you bring up the fuzziness, it's going to expand that out, as you can see here. You want to bring it out just a little ways, just to start. And then switch over here to the plus sample tool and begin clicking on the areas that are black in here. You can actually click right into this thumbnail if you want to, make it real easy. Or you can click over here into the image. And as you can see, it's beginning to select out just that part of the image. We can now double check this on our previews. Here's a grayscale preview. Here's a black matte preview. Here's a white matte preview. And here's the quick mask. So you can see some problem areas in here. But pretty much, this is a nice selection. You can adjust your fuzziness. This is going to tighten up your selection. Basically, what this is doing is the higher the fuzziness, the more colors it's allowing into your selection. So if you have some problems with haloing happening, increasing your fuzziness can cut down on the haloing. You see that right down here. Now, also as you increase the fuzziness, it's going to let in more of the other areas that you don't want to have selected. So this usually means increasing fuzziness to clean up the difficult spots. And then we go back and we'll clean up the matte itself once we have this going. Okay, let's choose OK. There's our basic selection. Now we've selected the outside area. I want the girl selected. So for that, we go up here to select and then inverse. And now just the girl is selected. Okay, let's go back over here to our layers. I'll make a new duplicate layer here. Choose OK. Hide the background for right now. Let's make another copy of this. Just for comparisons, we change that background and click on the layer mask button. Here's our layer mask. And as you can see, we've lost some stuff down in through here. We can bring that back in again, but I want to have a nice background to work against. So I'll come down here. Let's make a new layer right here. And let's fill that with just a medium gray. Should be okay. There we go. And paint bucket and fill that layer. Okay, now I can really easily see where this is cutting into her figure. So let's zoom in. And then go up here and double click on the layer mask side. That light blue outline shows you where you are. And then grab your paintbrush. And you want to be having your color as white. So white shows. Just click upper left-hand corner like that. We have a perfect white. And if I paint in with white, it's going to show that area again. So black hides, white shows. We want to show this part again. I'll bring up my brush size here a bit. Notice I'm using a soft edge brush. Let's check out brush settings. Make this even better. I'll increase my hardness here to about 85%. So it's a softer edge, but not a totally soft edge. So it's a little harder, but not really totally soft. You can see there's some pixelization in here. That's why we're getting some pixelization on the hair up in here, because this is a fairly low resolution image actually. Okay, and for this, just come in and paint over the image. We'll come back to those edges in just a minute. Let's get everything that's easy first. There we go. And that cleans up the matte in that area. Let's just scroll down, hold the space bar down. You can then move your image around like that. Okay, let's get this taken care of in here. Get set back where it should be. Move it over here, just get this little bit right there. Okay, that's good. Now up in here, just carefully come in and paint right up against where that edge is. We can see that edge pretty well there. And I'm just painting it in freehand. That's all I need to do. And then this comes right to here. Like that. Looks like right in here. And a little bit right up in there. Okay, I think that's correct. If you mess up like that, you can always just change your color. Let's switch over here to black. And then paint back in the opposite direction with black. And clean up that edge. So pretty easy to go back and forth. White shows, black hides. You can come in here and just basically sculpt the area that you want to have in your picture. Okay, so that's good. Let's now do Control-0 to fit screen again. Let's hide that gray layer. We no longer need that. Let's now bring in a new background layer. Here's the original. There's our mask. The reason why I made this background copy is we'll be changing this background layer here. I'll show that coming down to Graphics. And I'm in the Backgrounds section, and I want to show you a few things here. Now, when you're replacing a background with a new background, and this is the case always, the closer you can get to the original, the better it's going to look. So if I chose something totally different in here, like this kind of weird bright yellow thing, I may see some stuff in here I don't want to be seeing. I may see some highlighting in here. I may be seeing some haloing going on. That's because it's quite a ways away from the original. Or even this color right here. Same thing, it doesn't look as good. If I chose something more towards the grays, it looks much better on those edges. So that's always the case. When you're replacing the background, the closer you can and kind of just feel to the original background, the better it's going to be. If I chose a real dark background, for instance, I really see the haloing in there, so I don't want a real dark background. But I think we can find something that's kind of in between, like this, that shows very well. It's a nice background, and because of the background color, which is basically gray, kind of a blue-gray, and some variations in here, we don't see any of that little bit of haloing that's left here on the picture. So choosing the right background really can help to complete your project. So here's the before, and there's the after. And I think this is pretty good. It's not perfect. We can make it just a little bit better. And the best thing would be using a higher resolution photo to begin with, but I think we can clean it up just a touch by adding in some adjustment onto this. Let's go up here to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer, and Levels. Right here, I'll use Previous Layer, choose OK. And I'm just going to tone down the midtones just a bit. Most of that haloing is in the midtone areas. So pull it back just a little bit, not much, just a touch. That helps add in some more contrast to the image anyway, just a bit more richness into the black. That also helps. And there we go. And I think it's a pretty nice job. Here's our before and here's our after, and managed to mask out all this really tricky hair in here fairly easy by selecting for color. Let's go back here to the Elements Plus. And again, if you want to find out more about selections, I recently added several articles in here into my Photoshop Elements Photo Coach program. So if you want more information on selections, that's the best place to go. And if you don't have that program, I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up and give the video a like. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of these videos coming up in the future. I'm doing new videos all the time, and I'll see you next time.